In today's video, we're going to be reacting to the latest strange and more questionable clips that I could find on TikTok. Let's get into it.
Former CIA officer John Kirk has come forward and talked about his close encounter with a UFO. Check this out.
It was about 10:30 at night. We saw a brilliant flash of light, followed by a second flash and then a third flash. And I said, "What is that?" We pulled over to the side of the road, got out of the car, and an orange trapezoid lit up in the sky. Not very high, about 1,500 feet. It just hovered there, not making a sound, but glowing orange, like pulsing orange. A man pulled up in a car behind us, got out, and he said, "What is that?" And we said, "We didn't know. It was just hovering there." And then it took off at a rate that just defied the laws of physics. We got back in the car, and I said to my father, "What do we do? Should we call the police or something?" And he said, "And tell them what? We saw a flying saucer and it flew away? They're going to think we're crazy people." And so we didn't tell anybody. I didn't tell anybody for years except for my mother. But I know what I saw.
That sounds like an absolutely wild encounter, right? And his reaction from his dad makes you think how many people have seen stuff and it just gets brushed off. People don't talk about it because they're afraid of being called mad, right? But this is a regular occurrence that happens a lot, mate. So many people are seeing stuff, especially in the government, that don't want to talk about it. What do you guys think?
People do look at you as if you're crazy if you tell them that you've seen a UFO, or try to explain to them what that UFO did. It's really irritating. I have myself seen some unidentifiable things, and when I tell people, they're like, that was just a drone or something that was just normal. When I know darn well that that was not normal. It could drive one crazy.
We have some USO, or unidentified submersible object, action coming out of Brazil. This was captured by a man who was trying to explore some caves along the beach when he notices these three unidentified objects in the water. And he has no explanation for them. They're not scuba divers. They're not jellyfish. He has no idea what it is. And then when he reaches the caves, he notices the water still lit up as if there's something down there. He couldn't find what it was, but it's just weird that he saw those three objects and then the light in the water. It almost makes you wonder if they're down there searching for something, or do they really have a base underwater, meaning extraterrestrial? Take a look at this, comment below, tell me what you think.
Es normal que se vea ahí. Yo no sé lo que es eso. Apareciente de cosas abajo del mar ahí, que se ven como que si fueran luz. Me vamos acercando. ¿Están viendo? Mira, mira ya cómo se ve. Hemos descubierto. Miren, miren, nada más y nada menos, ¿ok? Mi gente, es en el peligro que estamos. En el peligro es que estamos. Están viendo, voy siguiendo caminando. De descubrimiento.
Hey, this may sound weird, but that ocean water looks refreshing. That is some nice blue looking water. As far as that being a USO, if someone was to just show me an image of this, I would have to say that that was like scuba divers. My mind would have not guessed USO. Also, as clear as that water is, it looks like it's reflecting the sunlight inside that cave. There's also some people in the comments of this video saying that it could be underwater fishing lights as well. If you have any idea, let me know in the comments.
This is day 8 of Australia's conspiracy theory iceberg. This is the Luna Park ghost train fire. So on the 9th of June 1979 at Luna Park in Sydney, the ghost train caught fire, claiming the lives of 7 people. Now to this day, there have been no charges filed against anybody, and nobody has ever been arrested for lighting these fires. But the theory goes that these fires were intentionally lit. Now this is a 2-part conspiracy theory, but the theory goes that this fire was lit by a man named Abe Saffron. Now Abe Saffron was coined the name Mr. Sin. See, Abe was very well linked to the criminal underworld, and he had a huge portfolio, a huge monopoly of casinos, strip clubs, bars and pubs, specifically and predominantly around Sydney, more so around the King's Cross area. Now, the theory goes that Abe Saffron actually lit this fire intentionally to get Luna Park out of the debt that they they were in so for financial gain, but alongside with that, to also get opportunity to purchase the land. Now, apparently there was a lot of evidence to lock Abe Saffron up. You see, at the time, there was somebody in the police force that was extremely high up, and this person was known as the Fixer, and they believed that the Fixer would skew any evidence linking back to Saffron. Every time the police would get on his trail, he would skew it. The second part to this conspiracy theory has become a huge piece of internet folklore, a ghost story, if you will. You see, the day that the fire broke out on the ghost train, there was a couple, John and Jenny Godson, who had travelled by ferry to Luna Park. And horrifically, out of the 7 people that lost their lives in this ghost train fire, John and his 2 sons had lost their life in this fire. Now, months later, Jenny was going through photos and everything, and she found a photo that was taken just before they boarded the ferry heading towards Luna Park. She doesn't remember this photo being taken, and she doesn't remember performers being in the area at the time. This is the photo that was taken, and this is where the conspiracy, the cosmic conspiracy comes from, because a lot of people looked at this photo and started to say, well, hang on, this person in costume is looking a little bit like this Canaanite god known as Moloch, and Moloch requires children sacrifice in the way of incineration. A lot of people have come forward and said, no, they're just street performers, this and that, and it was Abe Saffron. A lot of other people believe, no, well, it was Abe Saffron, but maybe there was something a bit higher, a bit more cosmic at play, a bit more demonic at play at this time, and that was what is seen in this photo. It was letting us know, hey, I am here.
I would think a white-cloaked, buffalo-headed man wearing cheetah print loincloth standing next to my child would be pretty unforgettable. But overall, it is a sad and tragic story, and I've never heard of this conspiracy before. Australia seems to have its mysteries. Hey, if you haven't done so already and you're enjoying the show, give it a like. And if you're new to the channel, subscribe. I upload a video like this every Monday through Friday at 9 a.m. And for everyone that's liked, watching, and or subscribed, thank you so much for supporting the channel.
You know, aliens really do exist. They just can't see us. And the craziest part is we wouldn't be able to see them either. Now, this isn't because we're hidden in any way or they're hidden. They probably are looking for us just as we are them. Think about it like this. There's another galaxy with another civilization, but it's 60 million light years away. Maybe they have some kind of super high-end telescope which they can literally see Earth extremely clearly with. But because of how light travels, they wouldn't be seeing us. They wouldn't be seeing buildings. They wouldn't be seeing cities. They wouldn't see anything. In fact, they would be seeing the dinosaurs in live time from 60 million years ago. Now, how is that? Well, that is because of how light travels. Just as how when you look up into the sky at night, the stars that you see there probably don't exist anymore. They probably died years and years and years before we were even created. But it goes the other way as well, because we may have looked into a galaxy 20, 30 million light years away, which could have had alien life, but we didn't find it. But because of how light's traveling, it doesn't mean it's not there. It just means it wasn't at that current time.
I have so many questions to this, and by all means do not take this as I believe in this. I'm just questioning because I don't know. But say you have this alien race and they're so advanced to the point where they can actually see Earth from how many ever light years away, like he said. If they're that advanced, do you not think that they would not know that the time that they're looking at is the past time, and that they would not have some kind of technology to actually see current time? And why would it be looking through light? Would they not have the ability to possibly open up a wormhole through space and time and actually see the planet in real time through a wormhole? Or maybe they're just not that advanced. It could very well be that there's a whole nother solar system out there that aligns perfectly just like ours, and they're no different from us. Maybe more advanced a little bit, maybe less. And that's only if you believe in all this. But overall, it is still fun to think about.
The US government may have found the device that causes Havana syndrome, a mysterious and often debilitating condition first reported by US officials in Cuba back in 2016. Here's what we now know. Back in late 2024, using Pentagon funding, the government quietly bought a portable backpack-sized device. And for more than a year, they'd been testing whether it can trigger the same effects reported by Havana syndrome victims. More than 1,500 cases had been reported worldwide. People described sudden, intense headaches, crushing pressure in the head, vertigo, nausea, ringing or popping in the ears. And some say they even heard a piercing, high-pitched sound that was very painful and that seemed to stop only when they moved to another location. And for some, those symptoms were so severe that they had to leave their jobs entirely. While the first cases involved U.S. diplomats and intelligence officers in Havana, reports have since come in from dozens of countries affecting diplomats, intelligence officers, and even military personnel. Now, here's where things get kind of complicated. In 2023, U.S. intelligence said it was very unlikely that a foreign adversary was responsible for the illnesses. The Biden administration formally renamed the cases anomalous health incidents, or AHIs, and that conclusion was reaffirmed in a 2025 report. But many victims say they spent years, some more than a decade, trying to get their government to take them seriously. They were paying out of pocket for diagnosis and treatments while their employers questioned whether anything was wrong at all. According to two people familiar with the matter, in the final weeks of the Biden administration, the Department of Homeland Security's Investigations Division obtained this device, one that contains components of Russian origin. The price tag? More than 8 figures. Now, this device emits pulse radio frequency energy, and that much we know. What we don't know are the specifics of the testing or what conclusions, if any, have been reached so far. The Pentagon and DHS did not respond to requests for comment. CIA has declined to comment, which leaves a lot of unanswered questions for the people who've been living with this and for the rest of us watching it very closely.
Well, it sure would be nice if they told the people what this technology could be. My guess was a router, and I looked up what routers were made in Russia, and there really is not any, but there is some people that are saying that TS-Link, which I know that brand, I've never used it, they say that it's made in China, but the software in it is Russian developed. Kind of makes me wonder if like Netgear routers or something like that might be emitting some kind of frequency. And depending on how long the US has actually been studying this technology, with some of the people in Venezuela saying that their heads felt like they were going to explode and they were hearing sharp noises, kind of makes you wonder a little bit.
Are you all freaking seeing this? This is at some lady's hospital. What is this? Let me preface this video by saying that the only reason you see the AI label is because the original video had AI audio speaking for her because she didn't want to talk. It is a very real video, and again, it's outside of a hospital. I'm about to tell you some really unrelated stuff here in 1 second. Tell me, what could this be for? Because I remember this happening a few years ago. Do you remember that? Pretty odd, right? Now, I'm definitely not saying this is related at all. There's something going on this year with what they're saying is the flu, where children, as I'm showing you on the screen, even teenagers are passing away. Again, over a flu. Quick question for you. Is it a flu? Or this is not like any kind of advice. Or is it the human's immune system? Which one is more plausible? In the comments, people are saying that they're just going to believe this is years ago to save themselves from any kind of emotional trauma. Now also, the girl that recorded this said she asked them why they did it and their reasoning was not sufficient. I'll update you guys as I hear more, and possibly if there's more health facilities doing the same thing. Because we do know certain people are just not honest with us.
For anyone that's lost any of their loved ones due to this super flu, I'm really sorry for your loss. This flu is pretty aggressive. Luckily for my family, we have not suffered with the flu yet. Knock on wood, that does not happen because I've seen some people go through some really harsh times with this one. But thank goodness nothing fatal, but really nasty. Stay safe, stay healthy.
I went to a very bougie business school before I did mathematics, and one of the biggest takeaways from this completely alien environment was there are 2 priorities: money and time. And you need to choose one by doing the math. For example, if you prioritize time like a lot of wealthy people do, then you spend your money to save it. So if a pipe bursts in your house, for example, someone who prioritizes their time won't spend any to find a tutorial to learn how to do it themselves. If you prioritize money, like my family did growing up, then you spend your time. And yes, these are real chores I did growing up. That's me right up there. This is a 6-foot deep, 150-foot long trench for the pipes for solar panels, because we hand built those one summer. I read a book about how it would be a waste of money for a billionaire to bend down and pick up a $100 bill off the ground because they're worth so much money per hour that stopping to do something as simple as picking up money is actually a loss of it. A lot of this comes down to what your resources are, but the point is that that can be quantified and that you should do the math to figure out how much money your time is worth per hour. Once you look at time as a limited resource that you're spending, it can actually help you make decisions. Just a fun way to look at the world that I learned from upper-class New Englanders.
No, the reason why that billionaire does not need to stop and pick up that $100 bill is because you bought his book telling you that he doesn't do that. Honestly, that is probably one of the silliest things I've heard, and I've heard a lot of silly things. And just to break that, oh, I'm not going to stop and pick up that $100 bill logic, what if that $100 bill was in a bathroom and you were taking a crap? Are you saying your time is so precious and that you have so limited amount of it that you don't even do that? I don't think so. It's just a really aggressive tactic to make people feel like time is limited, so that it weighs you down and it makes you feel hopeless, and that you just do not have enough time or money.
What's really going on at Area 51? Yeah, you know the place. Others call it Paradise Ranch, Dreamland, The Range. It's the most top secret military base in the world. And if you get too close, well, guards and unmarked trucks will literally stop you by any means necessary. The base was constructed in 1955 at Groom Lake, just north of Las Vegas, but it wasn't even acknowledged by the US government until 2013. And even though some people say all the weird stuff that went on there has moved elsewhere, they're still expanding this base. Workers are bussed in, or they fly in on the secretive Janet Airlines, and they're compartmentalized so nobody knows what anyone else is really working on. It's a great way to keep secrets. We do know that they tested experimental aircraft there, like the U-2, the SR-71, even the stealth fighter and bomber jets, but beyond that, no one really knows. Over the years, locals have reported strange lights doing impossible moves in the sky over the desert in the middle of the night, and surely many of them were aircraft that we now know about, but some sightings seem to defy physics. Then in 1989, a man named Bob Lazar came forward to Las Vegas' TV reporter George Knapp with a bombshell. He claimed that he worked at Area 51 in a nearby underground site called S4 that was within Papoose Mountain. He claimed that the US had 9 recovered crafts, flying saucers, that weren't from Earth, and they were trying to reverse engineer them. He said that they were powered by a form of element 115, which back then didn't even exist on the periodic table, and the stable version that he described still hasn't been found. And other stories talk about toxic waste being burned, sick workers, and then underground experiments where humans weren't the only ones involved, where something sinister might be taking place. So what do you really think is happening inside of Area 51? Make sure to leave a comment and hit the follow button so that you can join me as I dive deeper into my comment section conspiracy iceberg.
When it comes to Area 51, I do believe that they are working on some really secretive stuff. And by that I mean they're working with unnamed elements and unknown materials. Where they're getting this stuff from, that I'm not certain of. It could be space, it could be deep from within the earth, from the ocean. But overall, I do believe that they're working with some unknown things. With that being said, do I believe that they're still doing that at Area 51? At this point, I would say probably not, mainly because so many eyes are on Area 51. Why would they continue to do secretive experiments when people are always watching? It kind of makes me think that they've packed up all of their stuff and moved elsewhere, keeping Area 51 where it's at, keeping people engaged with it, but all of that top secret stuff that they were working on with unidentified materials and elements, that's being done somewhere else now, somewhere that no one has any ideas as to where it's at. People would probably theorize maybe Antarctica, but I'm willing to bet even somewhere different than that. But overall, I do believe that Area 51 has worked on some strange things, some unidentifiable things that are not of the norm. Let me know your guys' thoughts, theories on Area 51, what you believe in as far as what they do and or what they have done.
Most insane internet rabbit holes that are oddly convincing, part 6-7. Jet fuel is a hoax, and airplanes don't actually burn fuel to fly, but rather use an energy source that's gonna have you questioning everything. Just a fun theory for entertainment purposes only. So this is a plane. It flies in the air using jet fuel, or so we're told. A typical Boeing 747 carries about 64,000 gallons or 242,000 liters of fuel. That's a lot. A literal metric ton. Actually, about 193 metric tons to be exact. But let me ask you something that you've probably never thought of before. Where the hell do they put it? Like, this is what a 60,000 gallon water tank looks like. That's a person for scale. It's massive. We are told that more than this amount of fuel is stored in the wings of the plane, and that part's not a myth, that's actually what they tell us. And the question people are asking is, where? How exactly do 64,000 gallons fit in these wings? Like, this entire tank is really squeezed into those thin sheets of metal? It just visually doesn't make any sense. And then think about the time that it takes for an airplane to refuel. When you're at an airport, you usually don't see the fuel pump connected to the plane for more than a couple minutes at a time. A regular car takes only about 12 gallons of fuel, and let's say 2 minutes to fill up. Even if these jet fuel pumps pumped at 10 times the rate of a regular car gas pump, do the math, and it should take around 9 hours to fill just half of the plane's 64,000 gallon capacity. Yet we somehow never see a plane getting pumped for more than a couple minutes, if even at all. Sure, they'll tell you these jet fuel pumps are actually way more powerful than that, and can pump fuel at a rate hundreds of times faster than car gas pumps, all going through this hose. rows with a 1 to 2 inch inner diameter, which is actually how wide they are on the inside. Go search it up. All of this fuel which goes to power the turbines, and this is where it starts getting fun. Because here's what a turbine from a typical airline jet looks like, pretty standard. And here's the ceiling of the Hoysala temple in India, an ancient temple that is said to have been built around 1150 AD, but some argue it could be much, much older than that. Now, ancient India has some of the wildest temple architecture and design anywhere on earth, like Kailash, a whole temple that was carved into the bedrock of the cliff around it, an absolute marvel of ancient engineering. The pillars found inside these temples are so symmetrical, so insanely detailed, they look like they're 3D printed, made hundreds, if not thousands of years ago, and also appear to have been made for much more than just aesthetic purpose, because the engineering behind these pillars is nothing short of miraculous, with moving stone parts that can be physically rotated like they're part of a machine. Some of them aren't even connected to the ground, and just how on earth did they pull that off? Meanwhile, others can fully rotate and spin around. Like, we're talking stone pillars built over 800 years ago, engineered like modern machinery. And I don't see any reason why anyone would go through the painstaking lengths of making stone pillars that can spin unless they had a functional purpose. Oh look, here's one with a stone ball inside of it. Just how? Anyway, these ancient Indian temples really deserve their own video, which I'll cover some other time, but for now, let's focus on the pillars. These pillars are so meticulously designed with incredible laser-like detail and precision, near perfect circular symmetry that look like they were made with modern technology, and also happen to be in a similar shape of an airplane turbine engine. This is where we go a little off the rails. Remember, entertainment purposes only, right? Many fringe theories state that ancient temples and buildings like these were actually power plants that provided energy for past civilizations, like the pyramids of Egypt in the Giza power plant theory, and the same is thought of the temples of ancient India like Kailash and Hoysala, which use specific ancient mechanisms and esoteric knowledge to harness atmospheric energy from the sky to power their ancient societies. I told you this was going to get weird. Well, now it's being said that same technology is actually being used in modern airplanes, which only use the jet fuel to take off, and once they reach a certain altitude, they tap into this atmospheric energy to stay lifted and move fast, which they would have better access to because of how high planes fly, and that's where this energy is supposedly found. Tartaria technology, Nikola Tesla technology, zero-point energy being used right under our noses, all while taking money out of our pockets with expensive plane tickets, blaming it on the copious amounts of jet fuel they allegedly need, when they're actually just using the free, unlimited atmospheric energy harnessed by our ancestors. Absolutely insane, I know. But listen, a Boeing 747 can weigh up to 220 tons, while an Airbus 380 can go up to 600 tons. Have you ever stopped to think about how much of a modern miracle it is for a 600-ton metal behemoth to fly through the air for 16 plus hours on end, and all it takes is 4 of these? Jet turbines, for how powerful they are, aren't even really used anywhere else except for aviation. But even so, someone has to make these engines, and surely it would be much too difficult to keep something like this a secret with hundreds of companies all manufacturing them, right? Well, actually no, because only 3 companies own 99% of all turbine manufacturing in the world: GE Aerospace, Pratt & Whitney, and Rolls-Royce. Any other manufacturer is in some way associated with these big 3. And of course, all of these companies have the usual suspects, Vanguard and BlackRock, as their top shareholders, the 2 mega companies that own everything, who control the 3 companies that essentially power every airline on the planet, also making it almost impossible for anyone else to make their own commercial turbines, with regulations, gatekeepers, certifications, and import controls, to keep their oligopoly in power and free from independent producers to keep this technology as close to their chest as possible. Like, are 4 of these turbines really enough to keep a 600-ton airplane suspended in the air, traveling at hundreds of miles an hour for hours on end, propelled by just the air? I mean, maybe they are. This is what internet rabbit holes are all about after all. Roast me in the comments if you disagree.
I'm not certain if he realizes how big a 747 is. I'll pull up a picture for reference. This is a perfect image for reference. That 65,000 gallon water tank is the size that it shows here compared to a 250-foot long Boeing 747. And honestly, I'm not certain where he's getting the time frame on how long it takes to fill these up either. There's a couple of ways that you can fill these planes up. One truck with one hose can take up to around 3 hours depending on how low the fuel is in the plane. But typically there's 2 trucks and a total of 4 hoses for all the fuel injection points, which speeds it up drastically to the point where it'll be filled up within 50 minutes, 30 minutes. In some cases, depending on how much fuel, less than 15. But that's if it already has a good amount amount of fuel in it. And really the only reason why I know this much is because this is actually what my day job kind of involves. I deal with these planes and their parts. In the warehouse that I work at, I have 2 of these wings in the back of my warehouse and I'm ready to get rid of them because it's taking up the whole warehouse. Not to mention the engines. Other than that, he did get a lot of this information correct. I myself primarily handle the JT9D engines, the CF6-80, and the CFM56 engines. Some Pratt & Whitney 4000s, but a lot of these early 747 models used a lot of the CF6-80 engines, which I kind of got a little bit of knowledge on. Sorry, I'll stop there before I get carried away. I start to geek out when it comes to avionics. I actually enjoy this job.
So many people are noticing this very weird mark or brand on Erica Kirk's hand. That's gonna get pretty wild. It's weird because it seems to take different forms at different times. Very suspect. Now, we're getting into 2 different things. First, people say that it's the Alpha and Omega symbol. But let me show you something really quick. Somehow in this picture and this picture, this is the Nexium brand or symbol put on all the people in the cult. The victims, shall I say. You can't tell me that's not the Nexium symbol.
I'll add, that's definitely not the Alpha symbol for Alpha and Omega. This is. It almost seems like she added the Omega part of the tattoo for some kind of reason.
What's really odd is in certain places, it does appear to take on the Alpha and Omega symbol. Right here, but all the other ones are showing the clear Nexium symbol. Let me ask you this. Is it possible that Eric knows Keith Raniere? Or moreover, the people that funded Nexium? Yeah, the picture right here in the middle, that's wild considering what we're talking about. So Keith Raniere was the leader of Nexium. It was a cult that promised basically fame, rising, personal development. And many people in this cult were actually on very, very popular TV shows back in the day. Hawaii Five-0, Smallville. So the question is, was being part of this cult an offering for a way to fame? We do know, besides her modeling, she was also an inspiring actress. So that's odd we'd have this same mark from Nexium allegedly appearing on her hand, as Keith Raniere was helping people in their careers. Now, the Brumfin family was known to really supply and get Nexium started, including $150 million of capital. I'll let you pause and read. Trust me, this gets really, really weird and coincidental. Google's been really good at scrubbing information lately, but here's what we know. We know there's this weird symbol on her hand. Somehow it changes if it's not 2 different symbols on 2 different hands. We have a picture of her getting a white tattoo, but we definitely have the Nexium symbol. Nexium is known to push fame on people who join the cult. Keith Raniere, being the leader, was tied up in these circles. The Bronfman family was supplying them money to get them going. Why would they supply them money for a cult like this? The craziest part about all of this, Nexium ran till 2018. A year later, Erica was on a reality TV show. What are the chances? Part 2 coming.
Now, I'm not certain if I've heard of the Nexium symbol before. That's a new one to me. If I've heard about it, it went over my head and I have forgotten about it. And in some of these images, I can kind of see that symbol, but it's not an exact copy. I'm still leaning towards that it's just an E to stand for Erica. And honestly, if this was never brought to my attention, I would have never noticed the tattoo in the first place. Let me know what you guys think. Alright guys, I'm gonna go ahead and end today's video. As always, I want to thank you guys for watching these clips with me. If today's your birthday, happy birthday, and if not, have a good day anyways.